Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi. Now, it gives me great pleasure to have you here with us today, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
NDIM has been rated an A+ institution by the high-powered committee of the state fee regulatory committees, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, and the Directorate of Higher Education as well. So we have an existing strength of about 1,500 students of BBA program and an alumni association of over 15,000. Now, the college intends to impart quality education and all-round personality development of the students. That's why we have so many sessions scheduled on various different topics. A little bit about ma'am today. We have a multifaceted personality amongst us. Ms. Kamal Agarwal is an MBA in Human Resources and an ISTD certified corporate trainer. She holds over 15 years of experience providing up-to-date and effective skills, improvement, leadership, and values-based development programs to companies across a variety of industries. Her areas of specialization include management and leadership, interpersonal behavioral skills, communication skills, stress management, conflict management, team building, presentation skills, change management, and positive attitude. Ms. Kamal is also a certified dermatographics, multiple intelligence test, that's DMIT assessor. She is also a certified POSH enabler by Ministry of Women and Child Development. And she has delivered training in renowned companies including ITC, Maruti, Hero Honda, ICICI Prudential, Sony, Max Life, Airtel, Zansa, Reliance, Tata Telecom, etc. So it's my privilege to welcome you here, ma'am, on behalf of NDIM, on behalf of all students and faculty. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Chavi. Thank you for the lovely introduction. The area where you got stuck, I will like to take a minute to talk about that. Dermatoglyphics multiple intelligence test. I am a coach also. I do personal coaching for people. I do coaching for children. I do career counseling for children also, basis DMIT. So DMIT means Dermatoglyphic Multiple Intelligence Test, which is a scientific tool wherein fingerprints of a human being are used to identify the inborn potential in that person. Every individual is born with an innate, we call them inborn potential, we call them innate, with an innate inborn talent. And if we work on that inborn potential of that person is bound to be successful and happy in his life. So that's and this test is a very, very comprehensive test. When we do the fingerprinting and we come out with it, it tells us about your learning style, whether you are a auditory learner or a visual learner or a kinesthetic learner, the WAC model that is used in all academics that we do. Then it tells us about the personality style of the person. It tells us about the multiple intelligence, what is higher in that person. So this is a very powerful tool that we use for personal counseling and coaching. If anybody in your organization or if the children are interested to know more about themselves going forward, then they can kind of get in touch with me. Very good evening to all of you. My name is Kamal Agarwal, as mentioned by Chavi. So today we're going to talk about a very, very interesting topic, and a topic which is very close to my heart since I'm a POSH enabler also. And the topic is gender sensitization. So when we say sensitization, which means it is about making people aware of what gender is all about. A lot of people have misunderstood the whole concept here. And that is why today we are in need of talking about gender sensitization, gender equality, feminism, or maybe laws like POSH, which I will talk in context going forward. So what are we going to talk about today in gender sensitization? We will understand the meaning of gender. What exactly do you understand by the words gender or what it means? Develop gender literacy. We will, when all the people in this webinar, I request all of you, once you attended this and if you've understood what I'm talking about today, it becomes your duty and your primary responsibility to actually impart it and take it further, help people understand, make them more gender sensitive. And it will help you guys only going forward in your future roles, in your organizations, in the work profile, everywhere. Understand gender relations and gender issues in society, which means why do we need gender sensitization at the first place? Explain benefits of promoting gender equality. How it, a lot of time people ask me, ma'am, so when we talk about gender sensitization, or Kamal, when we talk about gender sensitization, it also means we're talking only about females, you know, and the rights of the female. I would say no. When we are talking about gender equality, we're talking about both. We're talking about men and women equally, males and females equally. Develop positive attitude towards gender equality. These are the things that we're going to cover during the course of this webinar. So let me start by talking about the difference between sex and gender. So we use gender and sex interchangeably in our day-to-day life, you know, that's the problem. But these are two different things. When we say sex, it refers to the biological and physiological characteristics that define men and women. Hence, sex is permanent and universal. It is what we are born with. So it's either a male or a female. That's what sex means. But when we talk about gender, gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes that a society considers appropriate we say gender sensitization, we say gender equality. That's how it came into being. So if I have to simplify it, I would say male and female are sex categories and masculine and feminine are gender categories. Because when we say masculine and feminine, we are talking about certain traits of a particular sex. I hope I'm making myself clear here. So now look at this picture, and I am sure most of you will be able to immediately relate with this picture. Our world has been divided into a gender differentiated world where blue stands for men and pink stands for women. And ironically so, I have a daughter, she's 11 years of age, and she says, Mama, I don't like pink. So then, should we shun her? No. But when you go to a toy store, when you go to a child store, if you go and want to buy something, oh, there's a newborn baby, I want to buy something. Okay, ma'am, is it a girl or a boy? So when you say it's a girl, they'll show you everything pink and nice and these things. And if you say it's blue, if it's a boy, they will all bring out things blue and a little football theme on it, or truck theme on it, and all those things. So see, the gender inequality starts at a very, very early age in life. Even before the child is born, we are bringing that child in a world where there is a line. This is the pink side of it, and this is the blue side of it. So what then? Now, if you also look at the roles, specific roles. Now here, if you see in this, the mother is saying, oh my God, did you win the beauty contest? And the girl child says, of course, no, I won a scientist award. Because what are female linked to generally? What, array, you don't know cooking, you don't know to do this. So there are predefined roles, predefined expectations from what the women should do or the girls should do, and what the boys should do or the males or men should do. So when we come into this world, we come with this defined category, and the moment we are born, we are placed in that block, you know. Okay, so if here is a female or a girl child, pink is her side, and here is a male and a female and a boy, this is the blue side he goes to. And that's where our mind starts getting conditioned too. And that is why today we have to talk about gender sensitization. Had there been no lines between the blue and the pink, I am sure today the webinar would not be happening. So our aim should be to blur the line between pink and blue as much as we can. Why do men and women act and think in different ways? So what do you think, or maybe comes to your mind when I say, why do men and women act and think in different ways? One is biology, of course. Yes, we are biologically different. So if I say that the traits of women or the characteristics of women are different than the characteristic of a man or of a male, it would not be wrong because God has made us that way. We are biologically different, be it the hormones that we secrete, be it the differentiation in our brains, everything is different in us. Again, there's a lot of theory around it which talks about an experiment that was performed on rats, and that shows that the link between certain types of hormones and certain type of behaviors is there. So the testosterone makes the men more aggressive in their behavior, and because females don't have it, they are lesser aggressive. Now that's again a question that there's a question mark on this theory. People talk a lot about it was tested on rats. Rats and humans are different, and there are multiple challenges and conflicts going in that theory as well. Then comes the, but one thing remains for sure, that biologically we need to understand that we are two different species. We are two different, uh, we are made different. We have those differences. Having said so, we need to respect those differences. We'll talk more about it. And the second is culture. As I said, uh, sociologists always believe that the way women behave differently is not because of these are the do's of the pink section and these are the don'ts of the pink section. Same way, when a male was born or a boy child was born, he was put in a blue section and he was said that, see, this is your section, these are the do's and these are the don'ts, and you have to abide by that. And yes, we all are conditioned in that way, and therefore it says that men and women behave differently and act differently because they are culturally conditioned to behave differently. So if you look at a lot of stereotypes going around you, and if you also yourself think about certain things, the masculine stereotype, the stereotype that goes around men is men are more logical, men are more rational, men are aggressive by nature, men are exploitative by nature, strategic, independent, competitive, bossy, and decision maker. Whereas when you talk about the feminine stereotype or the stereotypes which hold for women, they are more intuitive, they are more emotional, they are more submissive, they are more sympathetic, they are more spontaneous, they are more tolerant, they are more cooperative, and they are faithful supporter. A big conditioning, cultural conditioning thing in Indian context is, I will say, the Janam Patri match. And while I was undergoing this whole training on posh and gender sensitization and feminine, what does feminism stand for and all those things, I happened to speak to an astrologer, and he spoke to me that Kamal, this has been there from centuries. The astrological matching, the Janam Patri matching, is also based on the stereotype. And how is it? We say, जब हम जन्म पत्री मिलाते हैं तो हम कुछ नंबर्स बोलते हैं कि इतने गुण मिल गए तो ये एक अच्छी जन्म पत्री है, इतने गुण नहीं मिले तो ये एक गलत जन्म पत्री है. So he said, do you know what this gun milana means? It means that if a female is submissive, if a female is more docile, if a female is more adjustable, then the number of gun milna will be higher. If a woman is more is more headed, independent in her thought process, aggressive in her thought process, then they say कि गुण नहीं मिले. Can you imagine the amount of stereotype? तो वो बोलते हैं कि गुण कम मिले, लड़की एडजस्ट नहीं कर पाएगी परिवार में. क्यों नहीं एडजस्ट कर पाएगी? क्योंकि सुनेगी नहीं, अपनी भी बताएगी, तो हमें ऐसी लड़की नहीं चाहिए. Can you believe the level of stereotype and the gender inequality that prevails in this world? Yes, we have been living in a male-dominated society, a patriarchal society, and that's how we've been following it always, and that's what it is till today. So after I having understood the actual implication of that gun milana, I have started telling people, please don't go by all this nonsense. You please go by what the person is, how they are compatible or not together. That's apart from the topic. Why I spoke about it here is to give you an example of how in depth this, or how deep rooted this concept of gender inequality or gender I don't know what, I will only call it inequality when you're not giving equal and fair treatment to both sexes. So the gender divide, what motivates employees. Now if you look at this also now, and you all of you are BBAs, and very soon you will do your masters and move on to work and go for interviews, and this is how the two genders are judged, males and females. When you look at attributes each gender places high importance on in the workplace. Now, this is how the HR also perceives. If there is a female, the female will look at balance in her family life, whereas the male will look at succeeding. You know, if we are talking about a female employee, we're talking about her need to feel respected. But on the other hand, the male will say, what is important for me is to come out of that and give new initiatives. So the hitch of coming out of the box is more in the female and less in the male. That's how they look at it. I often rely on my intuition, means that the female will work from an emotion. The stories comes natural to me. Yeah, that the women will chat and talk about everybody, and I've seen men do it more than us, trust me on that. And no offense to all the men or males in this group, I don't mean it that is. I'm saying that both the traits are visible interchangeably in both the genders equally. So we cannot say that, we cannot define male and female by this. It's a person specific thing. This is how our society commonly categorizes each word. If I have to put these words in a jumbled framework, and if I were to do a face-to-face session with you, I would have given you a clean slate, and I would have asked you to tell me which are the words that you relate with a female, and what are the words that you relate with a male. And these are the answers that I generally come out with, that I get responses from. And you can clearly see the words in blue are the words that are generally used for the male gender, and the words in the pink are generally used for the female gender. So look at the words: nurturing, accepting, passive, sensitive, sexually submissive, graceful, quiet. That's the level that you talk about when you talk about a female. And what you talk about for a male: self-confident, tough-skinned, strong. This puts an unknowingly high pressure on the males to live up to these expectations of the society, of their parents, of their close, near and dear ones. I am sure most of you must have heard that locker room case which is going on off late. And one of the child from Heritage School in Gurgaon, a boy, he committed suicide. And I personally happen to know the parents and through some friends. And it is because of this whole expectation from a male to remain tough skinned, to remain strong, to not be this that he could not go out and talk going on. The only option that he had was to commit suicide. And yesterday I read in the newspaper that that girl had faked it. Everything was uh, not true. Whatever she did, she had hacked, and there's a different story around it. But what I am telling you is that the amount of pressure that we put on males, or the male gender, is also so very, very high, by putting them in this blue zone, saying that you should be hard and tough and independent and competitive. And somewhere, if the male is unable to do that, he either gets into depression or gets into addiction or things like that. So yes, gender inequality, if I may say, is bad for both the sexes equally. So if you look at this particular slide here, this is the percentage of women working in STEM, science, technology. 14% women and 86% of men. This shows where our society is headed, though this is improving tremendously now, but still the percentage remains very, very low. And it is because of us. We tell the females, no, no, you will not be able to do this, you will not be able to reach there or do that. So therefore, you can clearly see, and if you also look at other things around you, you will see how the social conditioning of the entire environment that we live in is. So as a child, boys get toys like trucks, guns, superheroes, while the girls are given dolls, cooking sets, etc., etc. This conditioning manipulates young minds into believing that they must act within their given place in the society. And not many can actually come out of that box and think differently. Girls who do not conform to stereotypical expectations can experience criticism, ostracism, and even violence. So, for example, if a girl is, if talks out loud, or if she wears different sort of clothes, she is looked down upon, not just by people in the society, by her peer groups also. See what she's doing. She's behaving. She should not be behaving like this. So I was at a birthday party of my daughter's friend, and they were out in the park, and two of the girls, they climbed the trees, and one of the other girl came to me and said, "Auntie, look at them, what they are doing. They are not supposed to do that." And I kept wondering that why are you saying this? They are not. I asked the child. I said, "What makes you think that they shouldn't be doing it?" "No, they are behaving like boys." And I said, "What do you mean by behaving like boys?" And the girl said, "Girls are supposed to be nice, na auntie." And that's the precisely verbatim I'm saying. This is what she said. So I said, "What makes you think climbing a tree is not nice?" And the girl kept thinking, "I'll ask my mama and tell you, auntie." I said, "Fair enough. You do that. At least question her." So that's how we limit the children in their thought processes. They are unable to think beyond, because for at a young age, what your mom and dad are telling you is the world to you. And at that very age, we are telling the children, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to live. And even after, say, about when they grow up, are in 18, 20, 25, 23, when we start telling them otherwise, it becomes a battle in their minds. What to believe? My parents, were they not right? Then we are challenging a big belief system in that, which was there from the very, very beginning. And for that to happen, either there is a turmoil in that person, that I have lived with a wrong theory whole my life. What is it? Were my parents wrong? I don't think so. So then that battle begins, and therefore we are unable to come out of that social conditioning. This also puts unwarranted pressure on boys, as I said, who love to read, maybe dislike fighting or dislike sports or mechanics, or some boys, if they wish to play with dolls, they are rebuked, they are laughed upon, their peer group just outcasts them. Oh my god, oh look, he's playing with dolls, he's not supposed to be doing that. We need to change this going forward. So what if the boy wants to play with the doll? Fair enough. So what if a boy has that feeling in him? Everybody has an emotional side. Tell me that, this whole gender sensitization, gender equality debate is all about girls being equal, or if they wish to be equal, then why do they question that we are not very strong, or we cannot do X, or we cannot do Y? Well, when I talk about gender sensitization, I talk about both. So, when I was doing my POSH training, the first part of the POSH training, which is prohibition of sexual harassment at workplace, for women, Act 2013, gender sensitization. And when we are talking about gender equality, why are we saying that the rule only applies to women? Why is it not that the rule can apply to a man also who's harassed in his organization? And that is a possibility and a likelihood. And my train those lines, and there is a whole lot of things happening behind the curtain wherein we are working to find out how we can males, transgenders, everybody in suppressed for a long time. Therefore, for them, it is important to uplift them first and then move to a next level. That's how I look at it. So allow boys to express their emotions, encourage expressive, involve them in activities like gardening and cooking. So in our homes also, a female is taught to do the household chores and a male is not taught to do that. A male is all the things that to be done. You say you have to earn, and the importance of livelihood is more for a male than for a female. For supporting the family is more for a male, less for a female. That should also change. The understanding of the fact that if a male earns and a female stays at home and takes care of the house children, she should be given respect at home, taking care of the children. He should be equally respected. Then we cannot look down upon that person and say, "Oh my God, look at this man. He's sitting at home," and that's what happens. That's the unfortunate and sad part of it. I have seen it happen in my circle. We had a couple, a friend. The male suddenly was laid off. He so he started staying at home, taking care of the children, cooking for the house. But 5 months back, we got to know that they are going in for a divorce because the female says he's doing nothing. And that's the sad part. That's what gender sensitization should do. That, respect, that respect has to be mutual for each other. If I can sit at home and take care of the children and I can be respected for that, my husband can be too. If he decides to sit at home and if I am capable to go out and earn, and if I'm doing that, and if we take a conscious decision as a family, then he needs to be respected for what he's doing. We cannot say that, oh, what is he doing? And same applies vice versa also. There are many men who would feel, what are their wives doing sitting at home? That needs to change. We need to respect each other for whatever we are contributing, for whichever way we are contributing. It's like in an organization, there are multiple departments. There is operations, there is supply chain, there is HR, there is sales. There are different departments. We respect each department, right? Similarly, at home, there are different departments. We need to work in we need to do that. You will not go in an organization and say why an HR is not doing the sales job, or why a supply chain person is not doing a HR thing. You will not question that. Then why do we question that at home? That if he is doing that, why can't I do that? If I am doing that, why can't he do that? You need to understand and respectfully decide the departments that you need to take care of. You have your own strengths. Each individual has their own strengths. If in my house I feel I am good at managing the house, I will take it like that. If I feel no, I'm not good, my husband is good at that, let him do that. That's how it is. It should not be defined by gender alone. I may be a bad cook being a female. My husband could be a very good cook being a male. So he can cook for the house. He can take it up like, okay, you do this, I will do this. That can be the way of looking at it. But it will only happen when we will stop looking down on certain things in the house, or when we will also say that everything is equally divided, and or everything holds equal value and respect. That is when it will happen. So those role models will help girls to see themselves in profession outside of the normal stereotype. That's what will happen when we start respecting everything equally. Change will come. Then we will key and cut soft and how role reversal can have same role reversal also. There can be problems. Why? Because when the role reversal happens and I move from one boundary to the other boundary, I feel now I can be aggressive, I can be powerful, I can be commanding, I can be demanding. That is what should stop. Please understand, and that can only happen when you mutually respect what each of you are doing, what we each other are doing. Either a male or a female, respect them for what they are doing. Some quotes. Malala Yousafzai want to be your other half. Not all see them tango. That's why we have the courage to raise our sons more like our daughters. And that's also a very, very big problem nowadays. The female childs have been given more advantage. They're being trained to be more aggressive in their nature, or maybe more independent in their thought processes. But the male counterparts are not being taught to understand that they can have an independent thinking. And therefore, today when we look at things, the divorce rates are high, depression rates are high, children don't want to get married for one. So why? Because this gender equality, that balance is not there. That balance has to come for us to live healthily in a society, for us to positively contribute to move forward. They said gender equality is a precondition to overcoming starvation, poverty, and epidemic. Everything can be right. And I'm not saying this is the only way, but this is one of the ways. So if you look at this statistics, twice as many girls as boys will never start school. And yes, that is why we come up with the लड़की पढ़ाओ लड़की बचाओ बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ योजना, because the importance of female education is not there. They don't understand that if a female is educated, the entire family is educated. If a male is educated, only one person of the family is educated, because the contribution of a female to the family is much higher, if I look at it like that. But in other senses also, why is this so? Because the importance of earning livelihood for the family lies on the shoulders of the male, and therefore male education is important. इसको तो आगे जाके कमाना है, इसको काम करना है, इसकी वजह से इसको पढ़ाना पड़ेगा. लड़की को क्या है, चूल्हा चौका करना है, उसको पढ़ के क्या करना है. So that thought process, that has to change. And some of you may be thinking that, this is a thought process of tier 2, tier 3 towns, backward areas, or maybe societies where, there is not much of affluence. But trust me when I say this, that is unfortunately not the case. A lot of educated people, very educated people, very affluent societies, very affluent families want to have a boy child in the family. They go for abortions to the extent of that, to have a boy child. And I am amazed, or I amazed is the wrong word to say, I'm shocked and to see that people who are educated, who are affluent, who have no dearth of anything, they look up and say, no, we need a boy. That thought process will only change when we will have a gender equal world. Facts about gender inequality. The most common place where gender inequality usually happens in the workplace, at a home, or in school. We all know everywhere it begins the moment you're born. The differentiation starts, when do female feel like they are being treated differently? It says, I have to do all the housework and take care of the children even though I have a job. So 70% of the cases where both the spouses are working, the household responsibility still lies on the female. And I'm saying 70%. Yes, it is that high a percentage. So even if both the spouses are working, or both the partners are working, the responsibility of the household and the children lies on the female. That's where the gender inequality persists. My husband's sibling in-laws are more respected than my sibling than in-laws. The differentiation between the female's family and the male's family, that's where female feel that there is an inequality. There's a gender based payment and promotion system at my workplace. If I'm a female, I may be paid less for the same job. My counterpart male might be paid higher for that same job. And this was even vetoed by Hollywood stars, our Bollywood stars, where they had come out about 3-4 years back, and they had said that the salaries or for the same project, for the same film, if we are co-actors, I am a male lead and he's a female lead, the female lead gets paid lesser than the male lead, to the extent that the kind of room that they're given when their stay arrangements are made is different. The male gets a very better level of stay arrangements and everything. So that is the level of biasness when it happens for females. When do male feel they're being treated differently? I have to pay for dating costs and buy a house when I marry. So the onus of doing everything lies on the male, the financial implication of it. I was often picked to work overtime or do physically challenging tasks. So if there is a situation where you need to ask somebody to stay back, so the team lead or the manager will try to ask a male to stay back rather than asking a female to stay back. So there is the inequality when it comes to males. I seem to have a burden to propose marriage. This I actually don't believe in these days. But yeah, I don't know, you guys would know more about it. So these are the few areas where males and females feel there is inequality or they're being treated differently. Illiteracy of adults in the world. Women, 64%. Men, 36%. That's inequality. Global average proportion in parliament. If you see, women are much, much less. If you look at women in board of directors, in leadership positions, you will see the percentage is very, very less, very, very less. So there is a gender bias existing. And this is again a data of how different countries are faring, where we are companies with women on board outperform those with none by 41% in return on equity and 56% in operating results. This report says that if a company has a women on board, as a board of director, those companies have shown 41% more return on their equities and 56% of more return in their overall profits. So that's what they are saying, that there are more women in the workplace than ever before, but that percentage in the boardrooms is still skewed. We have very few Chanda coaches, we have very few females who are actually higher up there. So yes, we need to look at that also, and therefore we say that, you know, the biasness is tilted towards the female gender. Now let's talk about gender inequality from a male's perspective. That was from a female's perspective. From a male's perspective, women are brave if they hit men. Men are evil, brutal perverts if they hit women. Women are romantic if they suddenly kiss a man. Men are perverted if they suddenly kiss women. True. If it's just a mistake if women goes into the men's bathroom. But if a man happens to get into a women's bathroom, he is a pervert. He's tagged a pervert. Women doing work, they can ask for help. If a male asks for help, he will be looked down upon for that. Women staring at men's crotch, it's flirting. Men staring at women's breast is perverted. So essentially, this shows that even there is a biasness when it comes to males. So as I said, there is a blue side of it and there is a pink side of it. The idea of gender sensitization, of gender equality, is to not have any defining line. If I feel like working and contributing to the household, it is between us. If I want to do it, I should be able to do it. That should be the idea behind gender sensitization. Merits. Everything should be based on merits and strength of the person, not the gender of that person. So gender equality is achieved when women and men enjoy the same rights and opportunities across all sectors of society, including economic, particularly decision making, and when the different behaviors, aspirations between women and men are equally valued and favored. Similar things should be valued and favored for both. Gender equity is a process of being fair to women and men, as per UNDP. Women and men should not only be given equal access to resources and equal opportunities, but they should also be given the means of benefiting from this equality. This is where the concept of gender equality comes into play. Gender equity implies fairness in the way women and men are being treated. So we are saying gender equality is considering both equal. And gender equity is the process by we will give them equal opportunities. So if I am applying for a position and a male is also applying for that position, don't hire a male just because he is a male. If we have the same set of skills, then see who's better. That's what gender equity means, being fair to both. And it's not about being skewed to any one side, it's being fair to both. So that's about it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm here to answer any questions. Chavi, any questions? Chavi?
Okay, that was a very positive session and very, very positive. What the question and answer session. I have a few questions for you, quick questions.
Sure.
One of the questions is, it will take ages to change a culture like India. How do we go about it?
So for this, I always say one thing, one step at a time. Let's change ourselves. And if each one of us decide to change that, slowly and steadily, that change will start happening. Uh, it does not happen overnight, and let's not even expect it to happen overnight. But imagine if we are 14, 20 of us here, if every one of us decides to take it like that and start making that change, and each one of us impacts or impresses or is convinced and convinces two more, we'll initiate that cycle of change. So let's be the change that we want in the world.
Yeah, very true. Okay, another one. Do you think that our girls, if they become independent, they can earn and manage the home, whereas our boys are still dependent for managing home? Who do you think is responsible for this?
I to this my answer is both of you are responsible for this. If it is about marriage that you are asking, after marriage who should be responsible, I will say both of you are equally responsible. And then you sit down and decide what are your strengths, what are my strengths, what I can do better, what you can do better, and then decide accordingly. If independently you are living, I think boys are also managing everything on their own, and so are girls.
Okay, and last, in the workplace, where do you draw a line between harassment and equal women rights? For example, a lady coming late every day and a lady coming late once in a while. So where do we draw a line between harassment and being a lady being lady?
So a lady coming late or a gentleman coming late, late is late, both of them. There is no harassment here. If you are talking about harassment, in fact, going forward in about week 10 days, I'm going to have a full 1 day session on POSH, Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women Act 2013. I would really appreciate if people can join who are interested. You will know what harassment means, what are the various rules and regulations. Even for men, you will know what you do can comprise of harassment. So I would really appreciate, because it's a big topic, the definition of harassment itself will take me 10 minutes to explain. So I will only say that the question, in the context of the question, a female coming late once or a male coming late once, the rule applies for both. If it is a penalty in once, it should be a penalty in once. If it is a penalty in 3 times, it should be a penalty in 3 times. So both. It cannot be because she's a female, she will be excluded, or because he's a male, he will not be. If at all, it's a case in point, a specific case where the female has already sought permission, and that can be true to a female also. If he has gone to the manager and the manager understands the situation, so that's a case to case thing. But otherwise, as an HR rule, it applies fairly to both males and females.
Okay, great. Any other questions anybody would like to ask? The forum is open for questions. Okay, so I think it was all in all a wonderful session. Thank you so much, ma'am. A few takeaways from this session. Gender equality is a much talked about topic. Developing positive attitude towards both the genders is required. Of course, we have stereotypes, predefined roles and expectations from girls and women. But gender inequality is bad for both the sexes. The very belief system needs to be challenged to the very core before battles begin. And times are definitely changing. This I would add from my side. For example, we could have some kind of an arrangement. For example, the male member cooks on a Sunday one meal for the family, and women solo groups traveling alone or in groups. So definitely times are changing, and definitely women are being enabled and empowered to have a say for themselves. So all in all, a very positive session. Thank you so much from all these staff, students and faculty. I extend my heartfelt thanks to you for this wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chavi. It was a pleasure indeed to join all of you here. And I would request one thing, if you could send me the feedback from the participants, that would be really, really helpful. I have shared my email ID and my telephone number. If some of you would want to share your personal feedback, you all can do it on this number as well. I am a DMIT and a personal coach as well. If some of you wish to understand after BBA, what is it that you should pursue, what is it that you should do, please feel free to get in touch with me. Thank you so much, Chavi. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, we'll be in touch with you for many more such sessions in the future. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Chavi. It was a pleasure.